James, what an absolute pleasure. I've got to tell you, I've been looking forward to this meeting. There are so many rabbit holes that we're going to jump in today. I'll give you fair warning right now. And to our audience, I'll tell that James is one of the, I think, most interesting people that I have had the pleasure to talk to because he's done so many interesting things.
All right.
You started, you started by cutting hair. You found yourself at the top of the organization. That is a pretty impressive advancement process.
Found myself in my first advisory role at that point. Worked with upper management and really helped shape what we were building. Went from 19 locations up to 63 locations in the Denver metro area. It was a cost cutters franchise, and ended up working with one of the most inspirational couple, really husband and wife team at the time, Craig and Laura Evans, and just really inspirational, really believed in their people, ton of trust, really believed in making sure that what you say you're going to do, you do, and you walk that talk. And so I have the utmost respect for him. But yeah, it was a great journey, and it was the beginning of a wild ride for sure.
You got to share some of your tricks and tips, because how do you become from a basically, cutting hair to a senior executive?
Yeah, I think really is to have the confidence, number one, because we're going to have a lot of self-doubt, right? So the self-doubt is something that's bred within us, but having that confidence to have the conversation, the tough conversations. I mean, I think I was 19 years old as a manager. My assistant manager was 43. And on top of that, he was 6'7". And so when you're having a conversation like this, you really got to keep in mind that, the people that you're working with are working just as hard as you are. Right. And so, looking back, did I understand I was leading from behind? No, but I did definitely at the time. I believed in getting the results through other people because one, I didn't want to work that hard. And two, I just felt that having the relationships really began to pay off. One of my first kind of outings that I did as a manager was I rented a limo and took the staff up to Blackhawk when it first opened. So that was something that was like unheard of, and just being able to do those types of things that kind of outrageous a little bit, and at the time I was starting a rap career, which that doesn't hurt as far as for having fun, right?
So leading from behind, what does that mean? And how do you do it? And why is it important?
It's really about gathering the talents of the people around you and letting them feel the success of those talents. So to me, leading from behind was a new concept that I learned back then through the several training sessions that our organization was put through. 4 Roles of Leadership, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Those are things that all talk about that style of leadership, and really, so it's not a top-down style of management. When a young manager can tell the franchisee of his organization, get the hell out of my store, and still have a job after saying that, they really embraced that level of ownership, and they really encouraged it. Craig used to go around in a t-shirt and with, he'd fill up pop machines. That was his job as the owner, right? And was saying that no job is too
That's
low
right.
for anybody to do. Everybody needs to pitch in and get the job done.
You said something super weird. You said that you were lazy.
It's the old adage of working smarter, not harder. So yes, we all have to accomplish the same task, but what's the easiest, quickest, least path of resistance way to get the task done so that you have time to do more tasks?
I tell my kids that there's 2 ways to be successful in life. You can either work incredibly hard or you can be incredibly smart. And the incredibly smart one is about not working hard and as you say, quote unquote, being lazy, right? But I tell them, look, you can't be dumb and lazy, right?
You have to maintain your ambition, right? So I think
Yeah.
that was the other thing. And simultaneously, as I was, moving up within the ranks of cost cutters, like I mentioned that I had a rap career off to the side. Well, Fabian Garcia, DJ Fame from here in Colorado, Deuce Mob, Denver, and I was AWB. But, he was a gentleman that, he was kind of like an older brother to me when I came to town, and really his integrity and his work ethic and his ambition really like took off early for him. And I kind of began to follow that. And I was able to draw on those experiences and really bring them back into the business world, because I was really seeing the full gamut of different types of experiences. Right. So one minute you're at work, working hard, 40 hours a week. Then the next minute you're like, hey, I got to take a week off because I'm about to go on tour, and so, those kind of experiences, they'll allow you to come back and you can kind of, talk about the efforts and things that you've done back in the salon, and it gives you good conversation, and you can really lead by example in that sense. Right.
Tell us a few of the crazy things that you had to deal with, and specifically in the places where you kind of had to change minds in the music career and bring that back to a business sense, and how those two worlds connect.
Well, we were a songwriting team, so my first challenge was I had to impress him, the other original member of the group, Paul, the other original member of the group, Velo. These are all guys that were older than me. I had to actually like lock in and be like, okay, I have to impress, right? So if I have to be able to, take the world around me and kind of like make it my world. And when I take that back to the salon environment, it's the same thing, but it's just different, right? So when you go do in the salon environment, I'm here to help you feel better. When you leave my chair, you feel better than when you sat down. I did my right. But in the other studio world or in the rap world, you might get in the fight. You might, there might be some things that go awry just because you got egos, you got a lot of different things, and there's politics involved. So you really got to kind of learn that navigational. And so what I believe that I did well was just being able to navigate. And so as I navigated kind of both, I kind of like had to deal with a lot of that self-doubt, because you're constantly in self-doubt. Like, how did that land? Were they okay with that? Or, and so but what you find is that over time, that's just how you present yourself. Right. And you kind of end up with this single persona that kind of can get you into a lot of different places. It's nothing for you to be in front of a billionaire or be in front of somebody that, doesn't even have a job. I mean, you can really run that full gamut, and the better you can navigate that, it's just going to be successful for you.
This is an incredibly common situation, right? As a mid-career or early career, you're working with people who are 10, 20 years older than you, with a lot of experience, but you have your own point of view.
I think you have to approach it and wanting to discover something about them, right? Because we all like to talk about ourselves, so you got to discover something about them. So I found myself I had a assistant manager when I was 19, 20 years old. My assistant manager was 47 years old, and he was 6'7". So I constantly found myself kind of looking up, like telling him, hey man, I need you to do this. But really the fact that I didn't make him feel bad, or I didn't like talk down on him or anything like that, I really put myself in a spot to say, hey, I need you to give me some advice here. What do you think? Right? Because if you do that one step, as soon as somebody knows how much you care about them, then they're going to be more or less want to find out, like, how can they serve you at that point? Because you're giving them something that maybe nobody else has given them, or, life has a lot of twists and turns, right? So you don't know where you end up or how you end up in the spot that you're in. And I think when you really stop back and think like, okay, everybody around me has a story. And as soon as you think you have the worst story, someone else has an even worse story. But, I think really the tip and the trick that I would say is to really listen and really seek for the guidance from them. So even if they're quote unquote a subordinate or they're on your team, my biggest success piece as a salon manager was the Thornton Town Center, used to be across from Biggs, and which was an old, kind of like before there was a Super Walmart, if you will, 26 checkout stands, nonstop coming in. We did, $17,000 a week in $11.95 haircuts. I mean, we're talking big numbers, and we had so much trust built amongst our team. On a Saturday, I could go in their drawer, take a mountain of cash out of their view, count it all out, come back with, change it into the drawer, and then come back with a $20 bill or 50 or whatever, like hundreds, whatever. But if that trust wasn't there, I wouldn't be able to do it. So that's another tip, is really try to establish trust early, because the quicker you can establish trust, there's a low cost to high trust, right? So that's another Coveyism. So
I am incredibly grateful and appreciate people who give back to their community. And you did some camp counseling. Tell us about that, and tell us what the camp actually did and what was your involvement in it.
one of the things that we were instilled, and I say we, me and my best friend from like the second grade, Lance and his mother, Dorothy Taylor, who's now she's like congressional award winner, and she's got her own Sister Soldiers Network at 80 years old, right? I just went to her 80th, but she always believed in community service once a month, or during the summer when we were out of school. And so, one of the things I did was we had to learn how to teach children with cerebral palsy how to swim. And I was just a summer program, swim program, and they needed volunteers. And, they had a youth program that would help that. So I started doing it there. And then as I kind of, got further along in high school, and my mom got me more involved with church friendship camp. And basically what we did is we took inner city kids into Black Forest, Colorado, La Foret camp, and, to put on a camp. We found ourselves as camp counselors just giving the kids that camp experience, and really just for that 1 week, it's like a break from their life, right? Being able to not have to worry about those things, team building exercises, crafts. Somebody would play the guitar. I was starting to get into music. I didn't know how far, I would get into it, but we would do jam sessions with trash cans upside down, and we would just have really real fun events, but really also deepen the faith and did have some real strong stories around that. And really it was a great program. So I was involved with it for a few years. We all got a chance to direct. So it was kind of a rotation. And, it was a group of probably about 20, 25 people that were involved with it. Just really great people. Still, that's when I worked with Year One, which was a youth organization for at-risk youth. And I also worked for Denver Public Schools. And we did, for Denver Public Schools, I was a tutor, paraprofessional, and worked with kids to help with their math skills. And, these were for nonviolent offenders. And so I've always believed in giving back, really just trying to be that role model, but also trying to give back to the community in whatever way I can.
How do you feel that these experiences have changed you?
Well, it's funny. What it prepared me for later in life, which I had no idea, was I was going to meet my son's mother. And my son's mother had already had a child with cerebral palsy, Straya, my daughter. It's that whole experience. It puts you in and puts it in a spot where it's like, okay, had I never had that experience young, I may not have ever taken the risk as an adult, if that makes sense.
No, you are now founder CEO of a coaching business. Tell us a little bit about the business.
My father was a man of integrity. And my father, Al Rowe, he was a narcotics officer, right? But he was within the military, right? So he was a CID with the Army, and that was his first career. And his later career was in DOD. He's part of the Deputy IG's office. So he's really, we used to call him the last Boy Scout, right? He was just super integrity filled man. And we went to Amsterdam one year, and, we were sitting in Amsterdam at a bar, partaking of the things that Amsterdamians do. And at the time, I felt like I was loosening up, and I was able to say, hey, I feel like I can talk to you now. I feel like I can be myself now. And he would just stop, and he just started just pounding on that bar. He's like, I need you to be as real as this bar right here. If you're not this real, you're not, you haven't figured it out, or something to that effect. And those words really stuck with me.
I want to wrap up with a last question.
Mm-hmm.
For our younger audience that look at you and see the amazing career growth that you've had, what is the one tip or piece of advice that you would give them?
Persistence and perseverity. You got to pursue it, and you got to stay persistent, because you're going to get doors shut in your face. And they're going to tell you no, but you only need that one yes. Right. So you got to continue to move forward towards that one yes. And we're always looking for the next yes. Right. So we're always looking for that. So the piece of advice that I would say is, it's actually easier to make money than it was years ago. But the struggle is what I call the Lego economy. So when you think of a Lego set, you need a lot of bricks in those Legos to build that wall, right? So to me, you need in this gig economy, or, in the Lego economy, as I call it, is you need to be able to stack those together. So don't be afraid to work. Don't be afraid to, put in the effort. Never stop believing. Just stay forward and stay focused.
James, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
All right. Appreciate you as well. Thank you.